conversations that motivate, inspire, and educate entrepreneurs. Kickstart your week with valuable insights that help you not just survive, but thrive. This is your go-to podcast to start your week strong and live your best life. Let's make Mondays the fuel for your success journey.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the show, everybody. Monday morning motivation. Some of you may not see me. Actually, nobody will see me right now because the camera is not. I said some, not so funny. Some of you may not be able to see me because my camera is not working right now. But guess what? You can hear me, and we are excited. I hope you hear the excitement in my voice because another day, another week of morning motivation. We are here every single week, 7 a.m. Eastern time. All right. And today we are going to talk about how to use storytelling to separate yourself from the masses, basically to have an edge over all your competition by the use of storytelling. And today I have the distinct pleasure to have two incredible speakers that will be speaking with me, Leah Garcia and Annie Osong, and we are excited to have them. Welcome, everybody. Definitely put your information in the chat. Let us know where you're zooming in from, okay? Say hi from wherever you are, all right? You don't have to give a speech, but just tell us where you're zooming in from so we can see where you are and shout you out. All right, so the topic for today is powerful because storytelling is powerful, right? A lot of times we focus on just telling people about what we do. We give them the features, right? I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can do all these things for you. But then you're just a commodity like everybody else, right? So you want to be able to use stories because you can connect with people on a higher level when you use stories. And I'm going to go deeper into this. I'll talk about the different types of stories, and I'll tell you a few stories myself. But before then, I want to bring up our first speaker all the way from California, where it is 4:04 in the morning. So she is serious about helping you out all with this topic because she is up at an early time that most people will never do this. I don't even know if I could do that. So I'm so impressed by her. And she, you know what? She is known as the dynasty builder because she helps people with their finances, right? Whether you want to make money, whether you want to invest money, all things money, whether you want to create generational wealth, she's the person that you want to go to. And today she's going to talk to you, though, about our topic of how to use storytelling to be competitive in the market. So also, she is a third-degree black belt in martial arts. Why I always say that is because it takes a person of discipline to do so, right? It takes a person that can set goals, that is a leader, and that's what she is. So without further ado, Leah Garcia, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Erica, Kinga Collaboration. I love this topic. Listen, this is a life-changing conversation right now. So today we're going to be talking about storytelling, how to stand out. Because you know what? Let's be real. We're tired of boring pitches and recycled taglines. This is a real deal. I did not get up this morning to give you the rainbows and the puppy dogs. This is a real conversation. Gloves off, pull back the curtain. Your story is your signature. Your story is separator. Your story is how you stop being just another option and become the person that people remember. That's your gold. That's who you are. I'm the dynasty builder. I don't just talk about money. I talk about meaning, because the wealth is your real store, is the story is your real wealth, right? It's not just about the dollars we accumulate. It's not just numbers on a page. It is a story behind it. That's how we connect with purpose. That's how it becomes our legacy. Listen, I never tell a story without a point, and I never make a point without a story. That's a golden nugget. Listen, I'm dropping gold, and I haven't even started my topic yet. Are you ready for my talk? I'm going to give you 3 golden nuggets, champions, on why storytelling is really your secret sauce to your success. Number 1, your story is your treasure map. Listen, Magic Maverick and the Treasure Map is a story I created with my beautiful, precious grandson. And every time we have story time, we have story time. Every time I see him, he knows we're going to have a story. And there's always a leadership lesson of the day. In fact, yesterday he told me a story and he told me what the lesson was. Oh my gosh, listen, if you want to be memorable, what is that lesson? That's your real treasure. That's your real gold. It's not just what we accumulate. The real treasure is who we are and who we become in the process. Your audience does not just want to know what you do, they want to know why it matters. Listen, a GPS can take you from A to point B, but a treasure map can take you anywhere. But tell us the real story, not the canned highlight reel version, right? You got to really peel back the onion and tell them the good, bad, the ugly. Number two, facts inform, stories transform. Facts may get people to nod and smile and, a little bit, but you know what? Stories get people to lean in. That's how you become memorable. I could say, listen, I help people create generational wealth. That's easy. Like there's a million other people who say that. Or I can say, I help families change what happens at the dinner table, at the hospital bed, at the probate court, and the legacy table. Now that is something different. Listen, that's the difference. Stop trying to be everything to everyone. You're not Kool-Aid. Not everyone is going to like you. Number three, your competition can copy your offer, but they can never copy your story. People can copy your colors, your caption, your services, even your hashtags, but they can never copy your childhood. They can never copy what moves you, what drives you, like how you got to where you are. They can't copy the fire inside you that you had to walk through to become the person that you are. Because remember, we are forged through the fire. We are champions, but we got to go through the fire, and people want to know about that fire. Stop hiding it. That's your glow. That's your goal. Your brand is your equity, but stop trying to be a knockoff version of somebody else. We already have that. Your story is not in the discount bin, it's a designer original. Folks, if your story has no seasoning, don't be surprised when people don't come back for seconds. Listen, champions, your story is random. It is your roadmap. It is your treasure map. It is the bridge between where you have been and the legacy you are building. As a dynasty builder, I believe every family, every entrepreneur, and every dreamer has a treasure inside of them. But you have to tell the story in the way that helps people see the value and learn the lesson. So stop hiding your gold, stop shrinking your lesson, stop watering down the fire. The shortest distance between the truth and a human being is a story. That's a quote by Anthony DeMelio. And with that, I cannot wait to hear the rest from the rest of my incredible panel. And I hand it back to you, Mr. Eric.
All right, all right. Thank you so much. Wow, that's why we love to start off with you, because you know how to kick it off in a grand style. I'm already taking notes here. My goodness, I'm sure people are thinking, wow, if I got so much out of the first 10 minutes, I can't wait to see how the next 50 minutes will be. That's incredible. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going to our next speaker, all the way from London, England. And this guy, what he does, actually, stories help a lot with what he does, if you think about it, because he helps you become famous online, especially on LinkedIn. He's done it for me. He's helped me build a following of many, many thousands of people. He can help you too. He helps people write books, and that's telling stories. So I don't want to steal his thunder. So I'm going to bring him up. Any Usong, the floor is yours.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Monday to you all. Now, Eric, thank you for your kind words. As always, Queen Leah, absolutely gems you shared there. Too many quotes. As always. Look, my friends, as Eric says, I spend my days doing storytelling for people. As a marketer, when you run a business, you have to tell stories. For all the reasons Queen Leah just said, your stories is what people remember. And think of you. When you're a child, or even now as an adult, you remember stories more than anything else. When you think of your childhood, when you think of what happened to you last week, when you think of what you watch, what you read, the stories are the things that stick with you. That's why we use stories, right? It's a story. It's more than just a load of words. As Queen Leah says, it is what makes you unique. It is what is going to make you memorable. It is your journey. Summarized. It's your journey like a bite size. All right. And you want to tell stories that people really get to know who you are, what you do, how you do what you do, and the difference you can make to their lives. This is not us just talking generally. There's a science to storytelling, and the science is quite clear. See, people remember what you say, a bit, but they remember what you show them a lot more. And stories is our way of show and tell. Now that's why we tell stories. Look, when it comes to telling stories, and I said, many people will just give you a lot of words. They tell you a story. That's the same as asking any AI tool, ChatGPT or whatever, to give you a story. I've done it myself. And what you miss with those automated stories is the richness, isn't it? And also it's a reality. You see, I say all that because people listen to your stories and they act the way you want them to act for a number of reasons. The biggest one is that they see themselves in your story. When I talk about books, I talk about my authors. That's to give the listener or the reader, a clear picture with which to make it, to make a judgment. The judgment is quite simply, this person can help someone like me. That's the aim in business storytelling. You want to paint a picture that the listener can say, yeah, that's me. And they can, if you can help them, then you can definitely help me, right? That means you have to, as Cornelia says, tell real stories. Number one, tell real stories. Don't make up stories that's because they sound good. They won't resonate. They won't cut through. People won't remember a word you said. But when you tell real stories, real stories are it's rich in content. It's rich in in description, and it almost has an arc. It has a narrative. It has a cadence, a flow to it, right? And I guess leverage that reality, that uniqueness that you have, and try and just kind of get people to understand, what your everyday looks like. That's the first thing I say to you. The second thing I say to you is, look, learn to tell stories. Go and learn. They said there's a science of storytelling. Go and learn the science, right? If you're wondering what does that science look like, Amy? What do you mean, my friends? Watch a film, watch a TV program. It's the reason I don't watch films anymore, because I know what's going to happen. It's a strange thing, right? Good stories tell you what they're gonna tell you, and then they proceed to tell you what they're gonna tell you. Strange, right? Basically, I can watch the beginning of a film and I'll tell you what's gonna happen in the film. Now, 9 out of 10 times I'll be right. There's always an odd time when someone twists the story in a different way, right? But essentially, there's a storytelling model that we can all use. There's a beginning, of course, there's characters, there's a hero, and there's conflict. There's a crisis moment, a moment of transformation, and then just when you think you've solved that moment of that crisis moment, another crisis happens. This is how films go, right? Always. And then there's the end, right? But in business storytelling, my friends, you want to have a call to action at the end. Tell people what to do next. And don't just leave them to listen to your story and then wonder, what do I do? What now? If that's give you a call, if that's go to your website, if that's go and read an article, if that's go and get something for free, you hear us talk about Queen Leah and Eric's free ebooks, for example. And I will tell you, I will tell you stories and the call to action at the end. Last, I'll leave you with my friends is this: look, you are not the hero of your story that you tell your clients or potential clients. You're the conduit. Your client is a hero. Bear all that in mind. If you want to learn more, let's talk. I'll happily give you a conversation to share some of my storytelling strategies with you. Eric, I'll leave it there, my friend. Please share with us your genius on the topic.
All right, all right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and thank you for sharing with us your genius on the topic. I learned a lot today. All right. So first of all, I just want to shout out some people here. Welcome to the call, everybody. Michael Thomas, good to see you. Let's see. Bowali, Boaji Adeyinka, welcome. Good to see you. Carl from across the pond, welcome. Eric Doby is here. Good to see you. Blessing, welcome. Good to see you. Oh my goodness, we have so many people joining. Alexis Skoloff James. Speaking about stories, she edits my books and my ebooks, right? So in terms of storytelling, she's a pro at it. And we have a lot more, but a lot of people are not actually putting a comment in the chat. So put a comment in the chat. Let us know where you're zooming in from today. Also put a question in the chat because we're about to start answering your questions, okay? Start with the word question, just type question, and then put the question in there, just like I think Carla already did. All right. So what I want to share with you are a couple of things. Number one, some of you may know that, I've been a sales coach for many years. So basically I help entrepreneurs, speakers, coaches, authors, business people to sell their offers without being pushy or salesy. One of the best ways to promote yourself and to sell your offers is to tell stories. Okay, so I'm gonna give you, number one, a few reasons why you want to tell stories, and then a few examples. All right, so there's this lady that contacted me about speaking on my stage. Okay, I run studiospeaking.com, the number one stage in the world right now for speakers, coaches, and authors to share their expertise and monetize their message, right, in a live studio event. All right, so I think let's see if we can mute everybody. 1 second. All right, at a live studio event. So what I do, so one day a lady contacted me and she said that she wants to start presenting to corporations. She says she's used to speaking to schools and stuff like that, but she wants to start presenting to corporations, and she wants footage of her speaking at a unique event, so she can do this. And then she also has a book that's coming out, and she wants to be able to sell her book and and make some money with it. So we worked with her, and she spoke on our stage. And when she spoke on our stage, she had 3 different people reach out to her, and she got 3 different speaking engagements, all paid. Okay. One of the speaking engagements, she ended up selling over 300 of her book, the new book that she wrote, 300 of them. Okay. And then another speaking engagement, she got 2 clients. Okay. These are high ticket clients. And then the other speaking engagement, she got another client. Okay. So she was so profitable by speaking on our stage. She came back and said, Eric, can I come back and speak on stage again? Is that possible? And I said, I never thought of it before, but it is possible. Right? So she came back. Now she was with a new group of speakers, and she was able to do the same thing, get more speaking engagement, sell her offer, and become profitable. Okay. And I'm telling you the story of Sylvia Crawley. Sylvia Crawley, Spawn, she spoke on our stage twice now. And she's a former basketball player, professional basketball player, and now she's a global coach, right? She has all the footage from our events, and now on her website, on her social media, and she's able to get to a lot more people. All right. So that right there is an example of a story. Think about the difference between what I said and if I just told you that, oh, you know what? We do events, and at our events you can speak to people, and you can speak to people and they'll see you on the Zoom, and then you'll get the video from the event, and we'll take pictures, and yeah, so that's what we do. That doesn't mean much. The story means a whole lot more, right? The story means a whole lot more. So here's why you need to tell stories. Stories are memorable, right? You will remember the story of Sylvia, but you probably won't remember features if I just told you all the features and benefits, right? Stories are inspirational, right? I inspired somebody today to say, wait a minute, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can speak on the stage. Maybe I can sell my books, right? Right? Stories are inspirational. Stories are indisputable. Indisputable. You can't argue with your story, right? If you are let's say, okay, let me look at Alexis as an example because I see her here, right? So she proofreads books, right? She's excellent at it. She's been doing it for many years, right? So let's say she's speaking to a potential client, and she says, this is what I do, and this is how much it is. And the potential client says, well, I know somebody that does it for cheaper, and I can get a better price, right? Now, Alexis is not going to argue on price because she knows her value. All she's going to say is, well, you know what? I know your situation. You told me your situation. And I know a guy that worked with me, had the same situation. I helped him with his book. Now his book is a bestseller. And, he's going around the country speaking and making money with his book. Now, that person cannot dispute her story. They can say, well, there may be somebody out there that does it cheaper. But now the story is like, wow, you know what? I just go ahead and work with you. Her story is indisputable. Okay. So that's another example, another reason. Another reason is stories are relatable. They're relatable, right? I have a client who helps people 50 and over to become fit, 50 and over. And she says she focuses on people 50 and over because she's 68 and she runs like 3-4 miles a day. And she says, the reason I'm able to get so many clients is because people see me and say, wow, if she can do it, I can do it. Stories are relatable. All right. So I want you all to think about this. You want to tell more stories. You want to tell more stories. You want to, instead of going around and say, well, mine does this and my these are my features, or I'm cheaper than this. But look, that's not a smart strategy, going around saying you're cheaper than everybody. Because eventually you won't make any money because you'll try to prove how cheap you are. Right? You'll be so cheap that you won't be able to pay your bills, right? So instead, you want to tell stories, right? And by the way, you can do that no matter what you do, because I know someone today is thinking, well, with what I do, stories don't work. Let me tell you something. That's a figment of your imagination. Stories work in any industry, right? I have a good friend, he's my photographer, and I'm talking to him about promoting his business, and he says, I shoot high quality photos for people, and I said, that's great, but that's not how you promote your business, right? Instead, say something like, I help families preserve the feeling of the last day of potentially the last day the entire family will be together. And I help them preserve that. Isn't that more powerful than I shoot high quality pictures, right? So I want you to all know that you can tell more stories about what you do. Tell stories about yourself, like my counterparts talked about, stories about yourself and how you got to where you are. And then tell stories about your clients and how they got their results. All right, so let's keep going. So now let's go into our questions. But thank you, Annie. I see my good friend Annie. Give me a round of applause. Thank you so much. So we're going to get into your questions right after I bring up everybody to just share with you what they do. So I'm going to just start real quickly. I alluded to it earlier, right? I'm the founder of studiospeaking.com. If you don't know what we do, just go to the site, studiospeaking.com. And we created a 4-minute video that tells you everything about what we do. Quick, quick and easy, right? And if it's something that you like to do, then definitely book a call. I see someone just what's her name? Blessing says she would like to speak on my stage. So your next step, Blessing, is to go to studiospeaking.com, click on the link, watch the video, and then book a call. All right. So when people speak on my stage, what do they get from it? Like I told you before, they get that recognition of being on stage in front of a lot of people they've never seen before, right? I give them an award for their past accomplishments. We give them the video footage of speaking in a studio. Do you know that 95% of people have never spoken in a studio? Oh yeah. I mean, I had one lady. She's the president of a huge organization, speaking organization. She does 87 speaking engagements a year average. She averages, right? Lithia Owens, president of the National Black Speakers Association. She said, I have never spoken in a studio. I've spoken on stages all over the world, right? Churches, community centers, conferences, but no studio. So you get to speak in the studio. Then you get to join a network of other speakers, coaches, and authors that can take your business to a whole new level. Okay. So again, I won't go into everything. Go to studiospeaking.com and check it out. So you see what we're talking about. All right. So I'm going to, thanks, Carl. She just put it in the chat there, studiospeaking.com. Now we're going to go to Miss Leah Garcia to tell you what she does, how she helps people. Then we will go to Annie, and then we will get to your questions. So remember, put in your questions. Go ahead, Queen Leah.
Wow. Are you guys getting some great golden nuggets from this? I've already written down things, and I'm already having some things that I'm going to take some action on, because it absolutely is so true, Eric. You just brought so much value. Like, I'm sure we got to all pay you. Everybody needs to get Eric's Cash App. We got to send him some money, because that was all goal. We all made more money this year. I'm telling you, you got to start implementing this. And so I'm the dynasty builder, right? What is your dynasty? What's the dynasty that you want to leave for your family? Sometimes people think that it's just about creating a pile of money, but sometimes it's also preserving that intellectual property. I also host Wealthy Wednesday every single Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific. I'm always looking for guest speakers and always looking for somebody that has a unique story that they want to share, right? What is your unique story? And with that, I want to hear, and check out Magic Maverick and the Treasure Map. You want to know about a story? That's a story that I created with my precious grandson. I mean, I'm just so amazed on how this has totally transformed him. Listen, we did this together. I never intended to share this with anyone. It's just a story that we created. And the transformation that's happened in this little 7-year-old boy, I'm telling you, he is ready to tell a story. He's ready to get on your stage, Eric. You're going to see Maverick is going to be on your stage. All right, hand it back to you, Mr. Annie. Where can we find you, and what is your genius?
Yes, nice. I have fun doing my genius every day. And my genius is not even it is more about the people I get to work with. So my latest book that's coming out in the next couple of weeks is going to go past Alexis first as the editor, as Eric mentioned. Alexis is our super editor. Is Yolanda's book. And I say Yolanda is a LinkedIn user, and she's a brilliant person, very funny, but not very confident in terms of telling her stories. So we worked with her for the last 7 months to structure her book and collect her stories and make sense of them. So the book, Intertwined, is finally coming out soon. Now that's probably one of my greatest pieces of work lately. But we are starting on another book with Dr. Yvonne. And if you know Dr. Yvonne, she's one of my co-hosts on her topic, Let's Beat Toxic Relationships. So we'll talk about narcissism and how to get through, get past, get away from abusive situations. So I spend my time helping people tell their stories. But I guess once we've got your story, whether it's in a book or at an event, then we will work with the same people to sell books. I mean, that's how Paulette sold for 4,500 books of Jack and Water books. So literally, we'll take you from I want to write a book to tell my stories, and we'll help you write a book. We'll help you sell a book, and we will make your book a bestseller if you want to become a #1 bestseller on Amazon. And then we'll go all the way. I will happily encourage you to go on Eric's stage for studio speaking. Otherwise, you can come on my real stage, and author speakers. I could talk all day about what I do, Queen Leah, but let me stop, right? If you want to know more, let's talk. And it starts with connecting. Let's connect, and then let's talk. That's where everything begins.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, Annie. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. All right. So we're gonna get to questions. So I'm gonna give you guys a challenge right now. Think of one question that you can ask us concerning stories, whether it's about your business, whether it's about life in general, because stories work, right? I remember, like I have 3 sons, and sometimes when I want to tell them to do something, I tell them a story. I tell them about how I started, or if they're going through challenges, maybe they fail at something. I tell them about how I failed at it the first time, the second time. I failed my driving test the first time, right? I tell them, right? Because they need to know. They need to know, right? So you can use stories in every part of your life, really. All right. So yeah, so put a question in there. Again, start with the word question. All right. So we're gonna go to the question by Coral. She said, what are some examples of brands that stand out because of their storytelling rather than their products alone? That's a great question. Brands that stand out because of their storytelling rather than their products alone. So we'll start with Queen Leah and we'll go around the room.
I love that question. I always think of this brand of shoes, not because of the shoes, but because of the story behind it. I thought the shoes were pretty cool, but then I heard what he was doing. He called it the 1-for-1. I think it's called the one. So if you buy his shoes, he donates one to someone in need. Isn't that incredible? Like, I just think that's incredible. It's Tom Shoes. I think that's the name of it, Tom Shoes. Like, you want other people telling your story. What is the story that people think of when they think of you? Do they just think of your coconut water, or do they think of the story behind the coconut water, why you started selling coconut water, how that coconut water is going to make them feel? Like, what are they going to get as a result? So I just think that's a great question. And there are so many to think of that have a story behind them. We all know the big ones, but you know what? There's the little ones too. The people who are just getting started. If you're just getting started, you need to start telling your story. And you're going to say it over and over and over again until other people introduce you before you enter the room. What do you have to drop on us, Godfather?
And again, a great question. I said, every successful brand tells good stories. I didn't say every good brand, it's every successful brand, right? We'll look forward to Coca-Cola's Christmas video, for example. I say that's a story they're telling. I can't say I've ever drunk Coca-Cola in the last 20 years. We'll still look for the stories. So wherever you go, whether you're going to look at Nike, Apple, you're going to look at Elon Musk, they're all telling stories. Of course, as Queen Leah says, we're telling stories too. You watch us every week, and then you realize that we're telling you our stories in the topics and how we share about the topics that we discuss. If we were not here telling those stories, you probably wouldn't even know who we are. And I remember the days before live events, but the days before when there were audio events, even days before audio events, right? And many of us have spent years posting on social media, posting on LinkedIn, posting, commenting, posting. See, the thing that moved my friends forward, Eric mentioned it earlier, is simply showing up and telling your stories. Telling your stories to help the audience at best of times. That's what makes my friends stand out. That's what makes my co-hosts, whether it's Paulette, whether it's Dr. Yvonne, whether there's William. I've mentioned a whole lot of people, right? Now, literally, I spent the last 4 years bringing people to events. That way they get seen, they get heard, and they get remembered. That's all because they all come and tell their stories. If you want to know who all these people are, go to my YouTube channel. All the replays are right there, right? You can watch all of them. And just make sure you engage, like, comment, subscribe. I'll leave it there, Eric. Of course, again, you work with big brands, so share with us how they do what they do, my friend.
Yes. Thank you so much. Well, as you know, the biggest brands in the world all tell stories, right? So think about it. When you look at a Coca-Cola commercial, do they ever tell you, okay, so this is what we put into the Coke? These are the ingredients. No, they don't do that. They show people having a good time at a picnic. They show people having a good time at a party. They show people just walking down the street with a Coke in their hand and drinking Coke, right? So they're telling stories because they're showing you images of stories. And those images they're showing you are memorable, right? They're inspirational, like I said earlier. They're relatable, like I said earlier, right? All the big brands. McDonald's does it. Now, does McDonald's have the best burger in the world? No. McDonald's probably doesn't have the best burger in my I don't know, 2 mile radius of my house. There are a lot of better burgers, but guess what? They tell better stories. You see their commercials. You see families walking together, going into McDonald's. You see kids playing in McDonald's. You say they're telling you stories without actually saying it. They're showing you images of stories, right? So all the big brands use stories. Nike uses stories too, right? So why not do what they do? Why is it that all those big brands are so successful, and then you're just telling people, well, this is what I do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You interested? Why would I be interested? Everybody does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So you got to separate yourself. So great question. All right, we have a question here from Alexis. The question is, how do you weave your values or personality into your stories so you feel authentic and memorable? Which is a great question. How do you weave your values or your personality into your story so you feel authentic and memorable? All right, let's go out to Leah to get started.
Yeah, that is such a great question, Alexis. Thank you for asking that. And I think this is a very deep question, but we only have a few quick to give an answer. I would say begin with the end in mind and begin with the end. So know what is the message you want to give, what is the lesson, and then reverse engineer it. I would also say the more you speak your mind, the more you grow your mind. You got to start telling your story when you were mucking it all up. You got to tell your story even when you don't have all the answers. You got to tell your story even when you feel like you haven't got to the destination. What will happen is you're going to grow in that process, and people will be attracted to that. People always think, oh, we got to be perfect before we start sharing anything. We have to achieve this or that or ABC. But you know what? People want to join you in your journey. What do you say, Godfather? I know you have some great gold to answer this question by Alexis.
Okay, that was another great question. Look, I think it's been very thoughtful and being intentional about the stories you tell. So many people just rock up, start talking, and a story comes across their mind, right? In business, that's not how it's done. Be more intentional. Prepare stories now that you're gonna share. Who's the story for? What are you trying to get across? If it's your values, then are we talking about your founder story? Are we talking about moments where your values were called into question? Which values? I'm saying literally write the story beforehand. As Cornelia says, start now. So you can start telling stories and learn and improve, or you can deliberately make a list of stories that you can tell people in the right time, in the right place, for the right reason. I know people who have, they have at least 10 stories pre-written, and essentially what you do, you drop the right story when you're in front of the right person, the right issues to hand. That's the best thing I can think. Of course, now being real, keeping it real means that you don't have to remember any elaborate parts. Now you're just telling the stories as it is, right? So essentially, prepare beforehand, and start talking about start talking about your business. Start telling your stories now. With time, your delivery will improve. With time, the points you make will get better. You gain clarity, and you gain more emphasis on the right things that will hopefully resonate with the person you're talking to, right? That's the way I would do it. That's the way I do it every day. That's the way many people who are sensible would do it. Of course, we have Eric, who's master storyteller himself. Eric,
Awesome.
share with us, my friend. How do you do yours?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I love this question because it is important for you to be authentic, for you to be yourself, right? When I was telling you the story of Sylvia, I just told you the way it happened, right? That, I didn't spend a whole lot of time trying to create it or anything. It was just, this is what happened, right? So you want to be truthful, obviously, about your stories, right? You want to be truthful about your stories, because people can relate to that more than if you're just trying to create stories, like to create something. If we can just mute ourselves. Yeah. So it's very important to be authentic, and that shows that people, and that builds trust. That builds trust when you are authentic, and basically, but that's basically just like I said, telling the truth. Say how it is, right? I remember, and I'll say this real quick. There was a lady that took my sales coaching class, years ago, and she sent me a message and said, Eric, she said, you'll never believe this, I took your class and I was able to make 3 sales and make over $5,000 in the first month, and I've never made that kind of money before. Thank you so much. So I asked her, I said, well, can you share that, can you just share what you just shared with me in a video testimonial so I can put it on my website? She said, okay. So she did a video and sent it to me. And in the video, she said nothing about what she told me. She said, Eric is a nice guy. He's a trustworthy guy, and you should work with him. And I'm like, oh my goodness, he didn't say anything. He didn't say anything about how much money he made. But anyway, I wasn't going to tell her to redo it because that's what she wanted to do. I put it on my site. And then a few months later, a lady, she decided to, get involved in my coaching. She bought it and everything. And I asked her, what made you want to be a part of this? Because I never actually met with you to tell you about it. She said, well, I went on your site and I heard this lady, she was talking about how trustworthy you are. And that was that's the most important thing to me. And I'm like, wow. Right. So she didn't need to hear about all the money. She just wanted to know that it was authentic, right? It was real. Right. So that's an example right there. All right. So let's keep going. We have another question. Here. By the way, there's someone that joined that I just want to shout out here. Our good friend Lisa Frederick is here. Good to see you. It's been a while. Good to see you. All right. So Michael Thomas has a question. His question is, what transformation do you hope your story creates in the people who hear it? What transformation do you hope your story creates in the people you hear it? And I think this is actually for everybody. That's not just for the panelists. It's good for everybody here listening to this to think about that and answer that for themselves. But our panelists will share. So I will give it out to Leah to get started.
Yeah, incredible question. And what I do is financial services, and that can be very, very static, right? People like Eric saying, well, I help people to invest their money, like I help them save their money. Like, who cares? Everybody does that. You can find anybody who can help you to accumulate wealth. But what I do is transformational because I help you protect, distribute, and transfer that wealth with meaning. I helped someone with her living trust because I always say begin with the end in mind. So we start with the living trust. And she's a teacher. She owns her home. She has two daughters. And she said, you know what, Leah, I can't leave a dynasty. I barely was able to buy this house and just kind of making ends meet. And then she started to tell me her story of what was so important to her, which was what really helped make a difference, because she grew up kind of, on food stamps kind of thing. And she started to share with me that what really transformed her and gave her hope was folklore dancing. That's the Mexican dancing with the beautiful dresses and the sombreros and stuff. And I asked her, I said, well, what would happen if, do your children participate? And she said, yes, they do. They know it's very important to me. And I asked her, what would it mean to you if you could leave a scholarship for somebody when you pass away, like a scholarship for someone who would like to take those classes? And so guess what we did? From her life insurance, we carved out $50,000. And you might say, well, that's nice. She left $50,000, but we're leaving $50,000 into perpetuity. And what that means is every year, instead of just having $50,000, she'll be able to donate a $5,000 scholarship to somebody so that they continue that dancing. Isn't that incredible? Like, that's building your family dynasty. It's not just about the wealth, but it's what you leave behind. What do you say, Godfather? I know you got some gold for this amazing question by Michael Thomas.
It is another great question and great response, my superstar friend. Like, the transformation, for me, I tell stories because first and foremost, I want to know that the person listening is listening. Is my story resonating? Is it original? Is it making a point? Is the person still listening to what I'm saying? So a big part of that, obviously, is how people respond, Michael. Again, the second thing, apart from people engaging and staying with you on your story, is do they feel something, some emotion, whatever that emotion is? You want to make people feel the good emotions, right? Because as I say, people remember how you made them feel. So what's your story doing for you? Is it giving people that feeling that this person knows me, this person can help someone like me, that I like you and I like them, I can possibly work with that person. Again, it's not from all from you, it's from the listener as having emotions towards you. So that's the real win. If you can create an emotion where someone can say, okay, I know I can trust Annie because of the story that I heard, even the one he told or the one that other people told about him. Of course, the biggest transformation that you want, Michael, is for people to take action. That's why your story must have a call to action. If your story really works, then people will click on that link. They will follow that. They'll download your ebook. They will click it out. They'll connect with you. Whatever you ask them to do, they will do. If your story doesn't really resonate, then people won't do any of those things.
That's right.
That's right. Those are three things I used to decide. Eric,
thank you. Thank you so much. And I agree 100% with everything you said. The transformation is when people say, okay, I'm going to do something about it, right? It's the action they take, right? When you tell a story about, Queen Leah tells a story about a client that she helped, right? Now people are going to say, wow, that's powerful. I need to contact her because I need that kind of help, right? I need that kind of assistance, right? That transformation. When I tell the story of Sylvia Crawley, now someone will hear that and say, you know what, I can relate to that. I need that kind of transformation in my life, right? So make sure your stories are short, they're to the point, and there's a reason for you telling it. There's a reason. And also have stories of different people, right? Different people. Don't, it's not just yours, right? Maybe different clients, right? If like, for instance, I know Queen Leah, she works in so many different areas, but I'm sure insurance is one of them. And sometimes if you're talking to a 40-year-old, the things you talk about is different from what you talk about when you talk to a 70-year-old, right? So you want to have stories of different people, different families, different situations, different ages, right? Different backgrounds, right? That's very important in a story. All right. So thank you so much for that question. And I don't think there's another question in here. Okay. I did see something that Alexis put up here, and I want to highlight that, okay, because this is a great example. So Alexis says, yes, I'm an editor. That is my job, to help the writer ensure their voice, product, or service is memorable, right? So I love how she said that, she's helping people to ensure that their voice and their product and their service is memorable. That's better than just saying, I'm an editor or I'm a proofreader, right? So that's a story. And by the way, a story doesn't necessarily have to be, something where you say, Sally did this or John did this. It could be just how you've helped people in general, how people feel when they work with you. Those are stories. Just like we talked about the commercials. Those are stories. It's not any particular person, but they're stories. Okay. So I want you all to use stories in your business, in your life, because stories connect with people. You connect with people when you tell stories. When you were growing up, did they tell you bedtime facts or bedtime stories? Right? They didn't tell you bedtime facts. To bedtime stories. I still remember the stories my parents told me when I was a kid, because they were stories. I would have never remembered if they just gave me a list, a list of benefits and facts, right? So remember to keep using stories. And you can never use too many. Sometimes I give a speech and I tell like 5, 6, 7 stories in one speech. Why? Because they're all memorable. So we're going to end with that today. I appreciate everybody being on. I appreciate my incredible panelists. We do have a few seconds left. So if you could just reiterate how they can get in touch with you. For those of you that are listening to me that are maybe speaking on my stage is not for you right now, or that's not what, that your focus is somewhere else, I still have something for you, okay, that can help you in your business. And it's a free ebook I wrote. And it's basically 100 ways to promote your business, 100 ways to market your business, to get the word out about what you do. Okay. So to grab that for free, go to successwitheric.com/100. Success with Eric. Eric is ERIC. Successwitheric.com/100. If you can put that in the chat, Coral, and you guys will be able to download it for free. Not 5 tips, not 10 tips, 100 tips. It took me a long time to put it together. Right? But I did it for you. It's absolutely free. So grab it. All right. So Queen Leah, tell us again, remind us about your website, anything you want to share, and we will close it out soon. Go ahead.
Yes, don't tell bedtime facts, tell bedtime stories. I love that. And I'd love to enjoy a coffee chat with you and learn your story. You can reach me. I'm all over social media, and my website is leahgarcia.io. That's leahgarcia.io. And you can download Magic Maverick and the Treasure Map, which is really more of a parable, right? It's about an adventure of a little boy, and what he's in. The quest is finding that treasure, but the truth is the treasure is already inside you. It's already inside you. So I want to know how we get in touch with the Godfather. How do we find you, Mr. Ennie?
I'm pretty easy to find. So I'm on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's my thing. That's where I spend most of my time. So DM me, connect with me. Of course, the big things I do, like I said earlier, is helping people to write the book, sell the book, and become famous. That's as the sign behind me says. That's my banner says, right? We want to take authors from, I want to write a book, don't know where to start, all the way to being #1 bestsellers, which is a title that you keep for life. And from there, who knows what you can do, what you can develop to help people. Does the story include designing workshops, masterclasses, and so on? It may well do. I mean, and I have a masterclass on Wednesday, for example, with one of my author friends, one of my co-hosts for events, Christina Segato. So we're talking about becoming a definitive answer in AI. So AI is where the future is, and the search is where we have to be, not just on social media. So join us. So I'm sharing the link in the comments. So if you want to learn how to become discoverable on search engines in 2026, and that means becoming the answer to people's questions. That's a story in itself, right? Are you really the answer to people's questions? Let's tell you how to do it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, so I just put it on the chat there. So click on any link to get a hold of him. I can be reached on all social media, especially LinkedIn. Right here, you can contact me or contact my assistant Carl, and you'll be able to get a hold of me as well. All right. So appreciate everybody. If you are here live, type in #live in the chat. If you're here on replay, #replay. And do me a favor, folks, take this link of this video and share it with your audience, okay? Just on LinkedIn, just repost. Say, hey, guys, I was just on an incredible call. This is what I learned about storytelling, and this will probably help you. And just share it on LinkedIn, share it on Facebook, share it on Instagram, wherever you want to share it, and let them know that they can jump on next week, 7 o'clock a.m. Eastern time, to get as much value as you got today. All right. It has been a plum-pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege to be here with you today. We appreciate all of you, and we'll see you next week. Make it a great day, everybody.
Happy Monday, everyone.